Okay, so these, in the resource section under Test Tile Thursdays, where you can find the information for your Celadons, and then you want to make sure that you have bisque-fired test tiles. We're going to use the ones that we did the slip trailing on and the slip brushwork on. Okay, so those are the test tiles we made. Another thing that I've been noticing is some of you have been glazing greenware. Make sure your pieces are bisque-fired like this instead of greenware like that. Okay, now most of our glazes are opaque, which means they're thick and not see-through. So this one is Deep Sienna Speckle. This is a test tile I meant to show you a long time ago. On the left here is 3 coats, 2 coats, 1 coat. And so you can see that to help you when you're deciding on your glazes. But for this assignment, you guys are going to use our Celadons. Now most of them are on the big meditation chart, the test tiles that I've made, but some of them are right here. Okay, and so you can look at those for ideas, but also in your binder are those examples of how to make a shade, as well as how to make a tint. Like I said, we're out of snow, but that's on order, so you can't stir a tint, but you can soften the glaze. And then the last page in your binder under this section that has, the second to last page I should say, is how to soften or mix the Celadons. So you can put these directly on your piece, you can layer them, or you can mix them. So before you do anything else, you want to get a glaze record. I'm going to steal your pen. And you're going to write, I put the date on the new ones, but if you have the old ones, it's okay. It just helps you remember when you did it. So I'm going to be picking out Celadons, and I'm going to be using Wasabi and Sky. So I'm going to write Celadon, Wasabi, and Sky, and I'm going to write that I mixed them. Okay, and then the pieces are test tiles. And then under results is what happens when it comes out after the firing. So I'm going to start off, if you see on here, with Sky and Wasabi. Okay, like that. So in the glaze room, these are all on the far right unless people put them in the wrong place. And you want to read the bottle. It says Celadon on the bottle. Okay, so there are also these little cups, and there are lids. So if you mix too much, you can either keep them for yourself or put them on the shelf for other people to use. Can you give me a Sharpie? I think it's by the tape. And you definitely want to put your name on that. There aren't any over there? No. Okay. On the lid, if you're going to keep it for yourself. Otherwise, please write what you did to mix it. There's one. Can you grab it? I know I'm asking you to do everything, Jess. So that people know what you used for that. So in the video, you notice that they did 50-50 or 25, that kind of thing. So these measuring spoons are hanging up over here, or you can just guesstimate. It's okay. So I probably will have leftover. So I'm going to do 50% Wasabi and 50% Sky. And write that on there before I even start so that I remember. And also write it in your glaze record. And then make sure you're putting the lid on tight and the fingers on the lid and you're shaking it. I can't believe I'm going to have to say this during my video. Put the phone away. You're wrecking my video. Okay, so that's a little too thick. So if you need help, you can ask me, but otherwise you just put a teeny bit of water and don't overdo it or the glaze will be way too runny and it won't work well. Should be the consistency of melted ice cream. And then you want to just pour that into your cup. And you can use the measuring spoons if you want it really accurate. And I'm going to do 50-50, which will come up with a color kind of like that middle one. Now, I don't have examples of everything, so it is kind of just guessing when you're working on it. But these are the only ones you can mix. And if you don't remember, read the bottle. It tells you, okay? You cannot mix regular glaze. You layer them. So that is super important to know, or else you won't get the results that you are going for. So I'm guesstimating about 50-50. And there are little Q-tips in there if you want to use it to stir, but I'm just going to use a brush. Make sure you clean your brushes before you use them. And what I'd like you to do for your test tiles, and it's in the directions in the front, so for these test tiles, what you'll want to do is you'll want to put, there's 2 different types. One where you stir the Celadons and you can share at your table. And then the other one is where you just use them plain. So it's right here. Okay? I mean, you mix in clear. Okay? So this one should get me the color that I just showed you guys, this one, which is kind of in between Sky and Wasabi. And so you can do the whole tile or you can just do half of it. It's up to you, but one of the tiles is going to be mixing and you want to do 3 coats. Don't glaze the side or the bottom at all. And for those little cracks, some of you have tons of texture, just dab your brush into it. That's how you get in there. Okay, and then you would do 3 coats of that before we put it in to be fired. Okay, then put the lid on and either share it at your table or put it in your locker or back in that room for other people to use. The next one I want you to do is I want you to mix it with clear to lighten it. So this is special mixing clear, and that is the only clear that you use to mix it. So this one here for soften is mixing clear, and it says on the top, and it says mixing clear. If you mix this with it, are you paying attention? It won't turn out right. This is not mixing clear. This is just regular clear. So you have to make sure that you're using the correct mixing clear. Shake it up. This needs a little water. Hey, by the way, if you can't get the lids off, just run it under some warm water a little bit because they dry out over the summer. And take a paper towel, and then you should be able to get the lid off. Okay. So this one I can tell is a little thick again, so I'm going to add a little bit of water to it and shake it up. So the mixing clear one, again, can be done in percentages. So you would want to write that on the lid of your piece with a Sharpie. So this one would be 50% mixing clear, and you can do MC, and then I'm going to do 50% cobalt. So cobalt's a really dark celadon, so it'd be good to lighten this so you can see your designs through it. Otherwise you're going to cover up all that slip trailing that you did. So it doesn't matter which order you mix them in. You just want to pour in 50% of that, and then about 50%. Now you can play around with it, but make sure you write your percentages on your handout. Okay, and so like I said, the celadons are the only ones that you can mix. So make sure your brush is clean before you stir it up, and then if you have leftover, just share at your table and let someone else use. So you will still see this pattern underneath. So then you would do 3 coats of that and write that in your glaze record. So you're going to do 2 tiles at least. One is where you mix 2 colors, and one is where you mix 1 color with mixing clear. That is your assignment, and if you have extra, you can always do more. If you don't have any test tiles, you can look up there and see if there are any there, and then I have a lot in my office from other classes you can look through, but if you weren't here, you're going to have to make them today. So there are questions about celadons? Okay, you guys can go ahead and start working.